Hello, 8th grade. Welcome to lesson 41 of Algebra 1. Today we're going to be looking at how to find slope. I know you guys already learned a little bit about slope when we were doing physics. We talked about Bob going up the hill, down the hill, going straight. That was really cool. So we know what a positive slope is, negative slope is, which I think is going to be really great going into this. But we are going to figure out exactly what slope is mathematically today and make sure we can do it. So our definition of slope is going to be the rate of change. So this right here is going to be our definition. Make sure you have this in your notes. Slope is the rate of change. So if we look at this, I know you guys are already thinking that's a positive slope because Bob is walking uphill. Poor Bob. I'll draw Bob on here just for you guys. If we're looking at this and we want to find the actual slope, the way we're going to find our rate of change is that our slope is going to be equal to rise over run. So our slope is equal to rise over run. And what that means is how much up divided by how much over. How much over. So how we're going to do this, I already have a graph here that we can look at, is we are going to start by picking any point on the graph we like. I am a fan of this point right here. This point is mine. And then we're going to pick any other point on the graph we like. And I like this point right here. So if we're looking at this point, these 2 points, the rise is going to be how much up it went. So this went up 1, 2 spots to right there. And the run is how much over it went, which would be 1, 2 spots to right here. So it went up 2 and over 2. So our slope is rise over run. We decided that our rise was how much up it went, which was 2, and our run is how much over it went, which is also 2. So our slope is 2 divided by 2, and I hope everyone for that got a big old 1. So our slope is 1. We were looking at this, like I said, we should already know our slope is positive. 1 is a positive number, so that means we are headed in the right direction. I'm going to erase this so that we can get another example going and I don't have to draw another coordinate plane, which would be nice. Bye, Bob. Sorry. And now we're going to look at a bit of a different problem. So if I draw, it would be useful if I had a marked color that would actually show up. If I draw right here, there, and there, and turn that into a line. Beautiful line just like that. Awesome. And we want to find the slope of this. My first step is going to be to pick 2 points. So the 2 points I'm going to grab. Let's do this in blue. I like this point right here. That one's easy to find. And I like this point right here. That's also easy to find. So the first one I want to find is the rise, which is how much up it goes. So how much up does it go? Well, the answer is it doesn't. It goes down. What that means is we're going to have a negative number going up. So this goes down. If it goes down to here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. And the run is going to be how much over it goes. If we look at that, it goes over 1, 2 spots right there. So our rise is going to be -4 because it's not going up, it's going down. And our run is going to be 2. So in this case, our slope is going to be equal to -4 over 2. If we do that division, we should end up with a -2. -4 divided by 2 is -2, which would be that slope right there. So we've still got a couple other things that we talked about in class, even in physics, that we haven't done here yet. So I'd like to talk about those a little bit and what those look like for starters, getting this off again. We talked about a positive slope now and a negative slope here. So the ones we have not talked about would be our zero slope and our undefined slope. The zero slope is really easy to recognize. It looks something like, get back to a pen. There we are. Just like that. Let me get that axis back for us. It's nice when we had that. There we go. So this right here, if I draw my points on it, let's pick this point right there and that point right there. So we're going to start with the rise, the amount it goes up, and that would be 0. And then the run we find is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, That's cool. So our slope now is going to be equal to 0 over 8. 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. So our slope there is 0, just like we talked about in class. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. So then the last one we have is what we called undefined in class, because if we have a horizontal line, we'll use this color right here, a horizontal line. Very pretty blue. I like that one. I have to use that more. We said that if Bob tried to walk to the right, he would fall straight off and hurt himself so badly he would be not identifiable, undefined. So I want to find this using the math. So what I have to do is I'm going to pick 2 points. We're going to go with this point right here and that point right there. First thing I have to find is the rise. So if I started here and went up, I went 1, 2, 3 spaces up. So that's our rise. And our run is how much over? Didn't go over at all. So our slope now, slope is going to be, what was it, 3? Yep, 3 up divided by 0 over. I hope you see the problem. We cannot divide by 0. That is a bad thing. So 3 divided by 0, 0 is going to be undefined. Find. We can't do that. No go. Bad. Frowny face. So because that's undefined, that's all we're going to call the slope. And our horizontal line, just like this one right here, is going to be undefined. So the last little thing I want to be able to do, make sure that we can do, is to be able to find slope if we have a equation. So let's just say I give you the equation y equals 2x plus 3. And the first step, of course, is going to be to graph that. So I'm going to make my little Cartesian plane here. Beautiful. And if we're graphing, we're going to have to make our table of values. So we have x and y. And I'm going to pick -1, 0, and 1 for x. And that'll give me plenty of points to make sure I can get a nice straight line. If I plug in -1 for x here, I get 2 times -1. 2 times -1 is going to be -2, plus 3 is going to be 1. We can try 0 for x. 2 times 0 is definitely 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. And if I plug in 1 for x, I'm going to get 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. So I can graph these now. -1, 1 is right here. 0, 3 is right there. And 1, 5 is going to be right there. And that gives me this nice straight line. I would hope if I could draw a little better. That's okay. So now I'm going to pick points. And I'm just going to pick the points I already have. That's easy. Looking at this, all I have to do is now I take my rise. It goes up 1, 2, 3, 4 places. And my run, which goes over 1, 2. I'm going to do that. Slope, again, is going to equal rise over run, which is going to be 4 divided by 2, which is going to be equal to 2. Now, of course, there is another way of doing this. I'm guessing some of you may have noticed that I could have just looked at this table right here and not even bothered with the graphing part and still found the slope. So, if I have my x and y, and I believe my table had -1, 0, and 1 on this side, and 1, 3, and 5 over here, I need to find the rise and run using 2 points. So I'm going to use the same 2 points just to make sure that we are still good on this. So my 2 points here are going to be this one, as well as this one, are the 2 points I use. So my rise is going to be how much up it went. And how much up it went is going to be the difference in my y's. So the difference in my y's is going to be 5 minus 1. And my run is going to be the difference in my x's, which is going to be 1 minus -1. So if I solve this out, I end up getting rise over run is going to be equal to 5 minus 1 is 4. and 1 minus negative 1 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is going to give me 2, which is the exact same answer I got before. Real quick, I want to do just one more problem. We're going to finish up. So what happens if I have an XY table like this that looks like 1, negative 1, 0, 0, negative 1, 1, just like that. So I'm not going to graph this, but it would be a straight line with a downward slope. It would work out okay. And what I want to make sure we do is when we are picking 2 points, what we have to make sure we're doing is that we always start from the same point and go to the other one. So my rise, again, is going to be a y minus a y. So my first point, I'm going to call this one right here, is going to be first, and this one right here is going to be second. And we have to make sure we always use the first point first. So I'm going to use my y value, the first one first, which is going to be a 1, then subtract the second one, which is negative 1. I'm going to divide that by my x's, and my first one's going to be negative 1 minus 1. So I do this, 1 minus negative 1 is going to be 2, and negative 1 minus 1 is going to be negative 2, and 2 divided by negative 2 is going to be negative 1, just like that. And just to show you guys, it wouldn't matter if I changed the order of these. So if I decided that I wanted this one to be second, and I wanted this one up here to be first, I'm going to change that. First, oh, there we go. And we are going to rework this problem using those. So now again, we have to make sure that we use our first one first and our second one second. So my first point for y, I have negative 1. My second point is 1, so I have negative 1 minus 1. I'm going to divide that by my x's. My x's, my first point, I have 1. And my second point, I'm going to subtract the negative 1. So we're always subtracting here. The first point minus the second point. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. 1 minus negative 1 is going to be positive 2. And that's going to give me negative 1, just like I got before. So again, it does not matter which one's your first point, which one's your second point. These are arbitrary, which is a fancy way of saying don't matter. You can pick whichever one you would like to be your first point, whichever one you would like to be your second point. Just run with it. It'll always work. Make sure you subtract, and that's a good way to find your slope. So at the end of the notes, I would love for you guys to do a practice problem. What that practice problem is going to be, I'm going to give you this table right here. And I would like you to find the slope of this line. What that is going to be, my x's are going to be negative 1, 0, and 1. Y is going to be 16, 12, and 8. Go ahead and find that for me at the end of your notes, and you will be good to go. I'll see you guys in class.